Today, I'm going to talk about something that is on every man's mind, which is, do you have a small penis? I think every single man, certainly every man I've ever worked with as a sex coach, has asked himself at one point or another, is my penis small? Is it smaller than average? And you men out there who are thinking, I'm fine, I've got a big schlong. Listen, I've seen plenty of men who really thought that they had a big penis, and it was way more on the average or even on the small size. I guess what I'm trying to say is that your perception of the size of your genitalia is probably wrong, and I'm here to help make it right. Why do all men think that their penis is small? Well, let's be real. There's a lot of pressure on penises to be big, to be hard, to perform, and men don't often see other men's penises, like especially not erect, right? We all know there's such a thing as he's a grower, not a shower, which simply means that his flaccid penis becomes surprisingly large when it is erect. There's plenty of men who have a large penis when it is flaccid, but it doesn't grow at all when it becomes erect. The truth is that penises are like fingerprints. Everyone's is unique. That said, you wouldn't necessarily know that if you just grew up and the only time you saw other men naked was after gym class or maybe in the swimming pool or something like that. Chances are good that the only erect penises that you've seen, therefore the ones that you're comparing yourself to, are from porn. And you know what I'm going to say. Those men were hired because of the size of their penises. Like, that is the number one requirement for you to be a male porn star. Basically, they look at you from here down, and then they decide whether or not you can be in porn. Like, size of your muscles, the amount of hair in your head, like none of that matters. You are selected based on the size of your genitals. And therefore, you're comparing yourself to what? The upper 1% of men's genital size, erect penis size? It's not a fair comparison. It's definitely not apples to apples. It's not even bananas to bananas. It's like bananas to genetically modified cucumbers. If you believe that you have a small penis, you are not alone. Up to 45% of men believe that they have a small penis. The truth is that most men have an average sized penis. That's the law of averages. And the facts are that the average sized penis is between 4.5 and 6 inches. And that is a global average. Now, if you've seen other statistics online, remember that those might be from a small population size. Maybe they only asked 18-year-old white men living in Indiana, which is the case with a lot of the research done by Alfred Kinsey and the Kinsey Institute, which is an amazing organization, but a very limited sample size. Like, white guys in 1960s Indiana college town does not represent everyone in the world. And if you've seen other statistic that says, it claims to break down penis size by country, remember, a lot of those are self-reported. And the distinction between, 30 men who happen to be online at any given moment in this country who all self-report their penis size, like, of course they're going to add a couple millimeters, centimeters, maybe even inches onto the report. There's no one there that's actually checking. So when they do studies, when scientists and researchers do studies in labs where they are controlling how each penis is measured to make sure that they're measuring all of them the exact same way, which, by the way, is from the base along the bottom side to the tip, then they find that the average is between 4.5 and 6 inches. So here's the good news. The majority of men do fall into that range between 4.5 and 6 inches. Now, here's a couple other things that you need to consider when you're thinking about penis size, right? Number one, there's a myth that bigger is better, that women want and desire just like big honking penises. It's not the case. There was an amazing study that was done that showed that women actually chose a penis size that was dead on average when they were asked, which penis size would you like for your partner to have? They only selected a penis that was larger than average for a one-night stand. Why might that be? Because bigger is not always better. Because women know that if they're going to be having sex with you, they want it to feel good. They don't want to feel stressed out over the size of your Johnson. They don't want to have to struggle to take that thing into their body. They just want it to feel good. And the truth is that 4.5 to 6 inches and beyond on both sides of that range can feel really, really pleasurable inside of a woman's body. Something else that you should consider is girth. That's the width, the way that a penis is measured around. And many, many women, including most of the ones that I come into contact with, agree that girth is actually more of an indication of how much pleasure she's going to get from that penis than length. The reason for that is the way that the vagina is laid out. At the first 1 to 2 inches inside of the entrance of the vagina are the majority of the nerve endings for the entirety of the inside of a woman's body. That's why fingering and the come here motion that triggers a G-spot orgasm and also leads to squirting is so pleasurable. That's because this only takes about 2 to 3 inches. Therefore, it touches on the majority of the nerve endings inside of the vagina. A really long penis is more likely to hit the cervix, which is the stop, the end of the cul-de-sac, where the vagina no longer gives a lot of pleasure, but where it actually can start to be super painful. So having a longer dick is not better. In fact, it might be more likely to cause your partner pain. In fact, she might be less likely to reach orgasm from a longer dick than she's going to from a shorter dick that happens to be a little bit girthier than average. All of that is really great information to have, and I hope that you found something empowering or interesting or educational. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up because it really helps me in this channel. But now I want to talk about what you can actually do with this information, because the size of your penis matters way, 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 way less than you might think it does in being an incredible lover. All right. A man that I used to date had a smaller than average penis by any measure. And it was smaller than average in length and in girth. All right. And we had the best sex of my life. It's not even about the motion of the ocean. That's such a nice sentiment, like the size of the boat, the motion of the ocean. But I think that suggests that there's some kind of like appropriate motion that you're supposed to do if your penis is smaller than average. It's got nothing to do with that. When this guy had sex with me, he made love to me with every cell of his body. And he came up with these crazy, awesome ideas for what to do in bed that were totally mind-blowing and pleasurable and excited me so much. I'll give you an example, and if he ever watches this, he'll know who he is now. We used to have sex to different music, right? Like I love music. I'm a huge fan of music. And one time we would pick like sexual music that you would associate with sex, right? And one time he put on Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones's masterpiece, Thriller. All right. If you ever listen to Thriller, it's one of the greatest albums of all time, but it is not baby making music by any measure. But the way that he had sex changed with each song on that album. It was like being at an amusement park or like Baskin Robbins, where we got to sample a little bit of everything. You know, we were moving slow through Human Nature. We were moving fast and furious during the song Thriller. He just brought so much creativity and so much like spunk and enthusiasm to the bedroom that the size of his penis never even occurred to me as a potential barrier to pleasure. And that's not just it. Like, you might not be the kind of guy that does Michael Jackson Thriller in bed, and like that's totally fine. It was a time in my life, it was a moment, and it was really enjoyable. But he also did things like push stuff off of a table and like lay me down on it and make out with me and touched me and pleasured my whole body. He was great with his hands, great with his mouth. He knew how to give me pleasure, how to make me orgasm, and how to take care of my sexual needs. And by the time that all was said and done, like, his penis size was the last thing on my mind. At the same time, I've had sex since that with men who had big penises and didn't even try. It was like they were like, yep, this is what I got, so go to town. Do you see the difference in that? I would rather have sex with a man with a small penis who gave SHIT. I don't know why I feel like I can't say but I said penis. I'll bleep it. Who gave up about my pleasure than a man who felt like his big dick was God's gift to women. That's the honest to God's truth. I hope that in this video you have learned that there's a wide range of what's considered average, and that average doesn't even matter. What matters is the enthusiasm, the energy, the creativity that you bring to the bedroom and to your woman's body. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel.